When I asked my 28-year-old daughter to get a job, she said, "You chose to birth me, so you're financially responsible until I die." She was sitting on my couch in her pajamas at 2 in the afternoon, eating the lunch I'd made while scrolling through her phone, looking at vacation destinations she expected me to pay for. "Ashley, you need to start contributing. You've been living here rent-free for 6 years since college." She didn't even look up from her phone. "I didn't ask to be born. You and Dad decided to have me, so now you deal with the consequences." In the consequence. She actually smiled while saying this. "We paid for your degree in marketing. You've never used it." Ashley rolled her eyes. "That degree was your idea. You wanted an educated daughter to brag about. I did that for you. My work is done." Shed graduated with a 2.1 GPA after I'd done half her assignments, because she said stress gave her anxiety. "Every adult needs to work. That's how society functions." She laughed. "I don't need to work. I have parents. That's literally your job. To provide for your offspring forever. Check any nature." She pulled up her phone. "Look. Birds feed their babies. Bears protect their cubs. You're my parent, so you provide. It's basic biology." My husband, Robert, walked in from the second job he'd taken to pay for Ashley's expenses. "Did you go to that interview at the marketing firm?" Ashley snorted. "Why would I work for $60,000 when you make that much? Just give me your salary. It's mine anyway since I'm your creation." Robert looked exhausted. "Ashley, we're retirement age. We can't support you forever." She sat up, angry. I'm sorry. Retirement? You don't get to retire. Parents don't retire. You had a child, so you have a lifetime commitment. Deal with it." She actually pulled out a notebook. "I've done the math. If you both work until you're 80, you can support my lifestyle and leave me enough inheritance to live on after you die." Shed planned our entire lives around serving her. "Your lifestyle? You spend $3,000 a month on clothes and restaurants." Ashley shrugged. "I have standards. You should have thought about that before reproducing. Every child costs money. I'm just honest about it." She showed us her phone. My friend Megan said his parents bought her a house. Jules' parents pay for his apartment in Manhattan. "You're actually getting off easy with me living here." Her friends were all trust fund babies, but we were middle class. "Those parents are wealthy. We're teachers, Ashley." She laughed. "Then you should have been smarter about careers before having me. Your poor planning isn't my problem. I didn't choose poor parents, but here we are." Robert's face was red. "You're almost 30. This is insane." Ashley stood up defensively. "Age discrimination now? I'm young. I have my whole life to figure things out. You're old. You've had your time. Now it's about me." She walked to the kitchen and started making herself a smoothie. With the $40 organic berries Shed demanded we buy. "You know what? I'm done asking. I'm telling. You will support me because that's your legal obligation." I laughed. "Legal obligation ends at 18. You're 28. She pulled out her laptop. "Actually, I've been researching. Filial responsibility laws. Parents who don't provide can be sued for neglect. Emotional damage. Shed actually researched suing us for not being her servants. You can't sue us for making you get a job." Ashley smiled. "Watch me. I have documented every time you've made me feel inadequate. Every request for me to contribute. That's emotional abuse. Judges love emotional abuse cases." She showed us a folder labeled Parent Crimes, with screenshots of our texts asking her to help with chores or find work. "This is evidence of harassment. You've asked me to get a job 43 times this year. That's basically stalking." Robert grabbed the laptop. "You live in our house. Eat our food. Use our car. And we're stalking you?" Ashley grabbed it back. "I didn't choose to need those things. You chose to create someone who would need them. Every need I have is your responsibility. Forever." I stood up. "Get out. Pack your things and leave." Ashley laughed. "You can't evict me. I'm your child. That's illegal." I pulled out my phone. Actually, I researched too. You're a month-to-month tenant. Here's your 30-day notice. Her face went white. You can't do this. Where will I go? Robert answered. To a job. Like every other adult. I'm not going to do this. 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 Ashley started crying, but it was fake. You're abandoning me. I'll be homeless. Is that what you want? Your daughter on the streets? I kept writing the notice. You have a degree. You're able-bodied. You'll figure it out. She got angry. I'll tell everyone you threw out your own daughter. Your reputations will be ruined. Robert shrugged. Everyone already knows you're a leech. They'll probably congratulate us. Ashley tried another approach. I'll kill myself. Is that what you want? Your daughter's death on your conscience? I called her bluff. Should I call 911 now, or are you going to pack? She realized we were serious. For 30 days, she tried everything. I woke up at 6 to check my phone before work and saw the email alerts. $8,000 charged to my credit card overnight. I opened the statement with shaking hands and scrolled through the purchases. Designer dresses from Nordstrom. A spa package at some luxury resort. Shoes that cost more than our monthly grocery budget. All ordered between midnight and 3 in the morning, while I'd been asleep. I went downstairs and found Ashley at the kitchen table, eating the breakfast ID made her. I was so excited. 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 I put the credit card statement in front of her face. She glanced at it and shrugged. That's payment for emotional distress. You caused me severe anxiety with that eviction notice. So I'm owed compensation. I grabbed the paper back. You stole $8,000 from us. She took another bite of toast. It's not stealing when it's from my own parents. Everything you have is basically mine. Anyway, since you created me, I'm just taking what I'm owed. I called the credit card company right there at the table and reported the charges as fraud. Ashley watched me with this little smile on her face like she thought I was bluffing. When the representative asked if I knew who made the purchases, I said yes and gave them Ashley's full name. Her smile disappeared. Robert got home 2 hours later and went straight to check our bank accounts like he did every morning now. I heard him make this choking sound from the office. I ran in and found him staring at the computer screen. Our checking account was $600 lower than it should have been. Ashley had used the debit card we thought she'd returned years ago. We spent the next hour on the phone with the bank, freezing every account and removing Ashley's access to anything with our names on it. She came into the office while we were still on hold with customer service. What are you doing? Robert didn't look at her, protecting what's left of our money from you. She grabbed for the phone, but he pulled it away. You can't cut me off. I need money for food and gas and everything. I finished canceling her access to our savings account, then get a job like we've been telling you to do. Ashley started screaming, not crying or fake sobbing like before. Actually screaming about how we were abusing her and starving her and trying to make her home. She said she was calling a lawyer right now to sue us for financial abuse and elder exploitation in reverse. She actually used that phrase, elder exploitation in reverse, like we were the vulnerable ones taking advantage of her instead of the other way around. Robert stood up and his face was redder than I'd ever seen it. Get out of this office right now. She didn't move. I'm documenting this. This is evidence of your abuse. I pulled out my phone and started recording her. Good idea. Let's both document, tell the camera again, how your parents are abusing you by not letting you steal from them. She left the office, slamming the door so hard a picture fell off the wall. 2 days later, I heard a car in the driveway at 10 in the morning. I looked out the window and saw Robert's sister Linda getting out of her sedan. Ashley must have called her. I hadn't talked to Linda in months because she always took Ashley's side in everything and made me feel like a terrible mother for having expectations. Linda knocked and I let her in. Ashley came running down the stairs in her pajamas with red eyes, like she'd been crying for hours. She threw herself at Linda and started sobbing about how we were throwing her out, and she had nowhere to go, and we were destroying her mentally. Linda hugged her and gave me this disappointed look over Ashley's shoulder. We need to have a family meeting. This has gone too far. We sat in the living room and Linda held Ashley's hand while my daughter sniffled and dabbed at her eyes with tissues. Linda started talking about how young people need more time to find themselves now, and how the economy is different from when we were Ashley's age, and how families should support each other through hard times. I let her talk for about 5 minutes before I went to Ashley's room and got the notebook, the one where Ashley had calculated our entire working lives until we were 80, so she could live off us and inherit whatever was left. I brought it downstairs and put it in Linda's lap. Without saying anything, Linda opened it and started reading. Her face changed as she turned the pages. Ashley tried to grab it, but I held her back. Linda got to the page where Ashley had written out her monthly budget of $3,000 and how much we'd need to earn to cover it plus our own expenses. She got to the part where Ashley had noted that if we died before 80, she'd need to find another income source or marry rich. Linda closed the notebook slowly. Ashley, what is this? Ashley crossed her arms. Financial planning. Adults do it all the time. I pulled out my phone and showed Linda the folder Ashley had made. The one labeled Parent Crimes with all the screenshots of us asking her to contribute or get a job. Linda scrolled through it, getting paler with each image. You've been collecting evidence against your own parents. Ashley snatched my phone back. They've been harassing me. I have a right to protect myself. Linda stood up and looked at Ashley like she'd never seen her before. This isn't normal. This isn't a young person struggling to find their way. This is calculated. This isn't a young person struggling to find their way. Ashley's fake tears stopped immediately. You're supposed to be on my side. Linda shook her head. I came here thinking your parents were being too harsh. But this. She held up the notebook. This is manipulation. You've planned out their entire lives like they're just resources for you to use. She left too. 0 minutes later, after apologizing to me and Robert, Ashley locked herself in her room and didn't come out for the rest of the day. On day 5 of the 30-day eviction notice, Ashley started what looked like a real job search. She came down to breakfast dressed in actual clothes instead of pajamas. She'd printed out a stack of resumes on our printer using up half our paper. She asked to borrow the car and said she had 3 interviews lined up. I felt this little spark of hope. Maybe the eviction notice was working. Maybe she was finally taking this seriously. She left at 9 and came back at 5. She did the same thing the next day and the day after that. By day 8, I was starting to think what'd gotten through to her. She was going out every day dressed professionally with her resume folder. She was even being nicer at dinner and not making as many comments about how we'd ruined her life. Then I needed to pick up groceries and realized Ashley had taken the car again. I checked the GPS history on my phone since it was linked to the car's system. My stomach dropped as I scrolled through the locations. The mall, the movie theater, a coffee shop, a park. The mall again, not a single business or office building, not one place. That might actually have been an interview I showed Robert when he got home from his second job at 8 that night. He just stared at the screen and didn't say anything for a long time. She's been lying this whole time. The next morning, when Ashley came down dressed for her fake interviews, I showed her the GPS history. Where are the interviews? She didn't even look. Embarrassed, I went to those places to network. That's how jobs work now. It's all about connections. Robert laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. You went to the movies to network. She grabbed her purse. I needed to relax between meetings. Job searching is stressful. She tried to leave, but I stood in front of the door. No more car, you "Want to go somewhere you walk or take?" The bus she shoved past me and went back upstairs. An hour later, she came down in her pajamas and turned on the TV like nothing had happened. Day 19 rolled around and I was upstairs folding laundry when I heard Ashley screaming. From downstairs, I dropped the towel I was holding and ran down the stairs, my heart pounding because the screaming sounded real this time. She was on the couch, clutching her chest and gasping for air, her face red and twisted up. I rushed over to her and asked what was wrong, but she just kept gasping and pointing at her throat. I grabbed my phone and dialed 911, telling them my daughter couldn't breathe and giving them our address. The operator stayed on the line with me while I tried to help Ashley, who was making these horrible choking sounds. The ambulance arrived 8 minutes later and 2 paramedics rushed in with their equipment. They went straight to Ashley and started checking her vitals, asking her questions about what she was feeling. According to Thethonif Husp Time page, one of them pulled out an oxygen mask while the other took her blood pressure. Then I noticed something that made my stomach drop. Ashley's hand was resting on the couch next to an open bag of chips, not just resting near it, but actually holding a chip between her fingers. The female paramedic noticed it at the same time I did. She pulled back and looked at Ashley's face more carefully, then checked the monitors again. Ashley's breathing was perfectly normal according to the machines. Her oxygen levels were fine. Her heart rate was slightly elevated, but nothing dangerous. The male paramedic stood up and crossed his arms, staring down at Ashley. She suddenly stopped to look at Ashley's face because it was just the pain she was experiencing. 40 pain. And there is something going on, and she is making deep within her. When I clapped my hands, had a little burst of tears because it was so painful. The male paramedic stood up and crossed his arms, staring down at Ashley. She suddenly stopped gasping and looked up at both of them with this innocent expression. The female paramedic asked her directly if she was actually having trouble breathing or if this was a fake emergency. Ashley sat up straighter and said she'd been having chest pains and thought she was dying. The paramedic pointed at the chip in her hand and asked how she was eating while supposedly unable to breathe. Ashley looked at the chip like she'd forgotten it was there and dropped it back in the bag. The male paramedic's face turned red, and he told us that false 911 calls were a serious offense. He said they'd just come from an actual emergency, where someone was having a real heart attack, and this call had pulled them away from potentially saving that person's life. His partner added that we could be billed for the ambulance call, and the city could press charges for misuse of emergency services. Ashley tried to argue that she really had felt sick, but they weren't buying it. They packed up their equipment and left. But not before the female paramedic told me privately that this kind of manipulation was a sign of serious problems. After they drove away, I found Ashley back on the couch eating more chips like nothing had happened. I asked her if she understood what she'd just done. She shrugged, saying she'd needed to show us how serious her stress was about the eviction. 3 days later, on day 22, I called a lawyer's office and scheduled an appointment for that afternoon. Robert took a half day off from his second job to come with me. The lawyer's office was in a small building downtown. Nothing fancy, but professional looking. We sat in the waiting room for 10 minutes before a woman in her 50s called us back to her office. Her name was displayed on a nameplate on her desk. She shook our hands and gestured for us to sit in the chairs across from her desk. I explained the whole situation while Robert sat next to me, nodding along. I told her about the eviction notice we'd served, about Ashley's threats to sue us for neglect, and about the folder of evidence she'd compiled against us. The lawyer listened without interrupting, taking notes on a yellow legal pad. When I finished, she sat back in her chair and asked to see the eviction notice ID written. I pulled out a copy from my purse and handed it to her. She read through it carefully, then nodded and set it down on her desk. She told us that we had every legal right to evict Ashley since she was over 18 and living in our home as a tenant. She explained that even though Ashley was our daughter, tenant laws still applied and WED followed the process. She said that we had to follow the proper procedure by giving 30 days notice. Then she addressed Ashley's threats about suing for neglect. The lawyer actually smiled a little bit when I mentioned it. She said that parental obligation to provide for children ends at 18 in our state and that Ashley had no legal grounds whatsoever to sue us for making her become independent. At age 28, she asked about the evidence folder, and I described what was in it. The lawyer said that screenshots of us asking our adult daughter to contribute to the household or find employment would not only fail to prove abuse, but would likely make Ashley look ridiculous in court. She used the word ridiculous specifically. She told us that if we were to sue her for neglect, we would have to sue her for neglect. She said that if Ashley actually tried to file a lawsuit, any judge would probably dismiss it immediately, and Ashley might even face sanctions for filing a frivolous claim. Robert asked if there was any way Ashley could legally force us to continue supporting her. The lawyer shook her head and said absolutely not. She explained that adult children have no legal right to financial support from their parents except in very rare circumstances involving severe disability, and even then, it would require court orders and specific findings. She asked if Ashley had any documented disabilities that would prevent her from working. I told her no, that Ashley was perfectly healthy and had a college degree. The lawyer said then we were completely in the clear legally. She told us to stick to our eviction timeline, not to let Ashley manipulate us into backing down, and to call the police if Ashley refused to leave after the 30 days were up. She said the police would remove Ashley if necessary and that we shouldn't feel guilty about it. The whole appointment took 45 minutes and cost us $200, but it was worth it to know we weren't doing anything wrong. When we got home, Ashley was in the kitchen making herself a sandwich. She asked where we'd been, and Robert told her we'd been to see a lawyer. Her face went pale for just a second before she recovered and said it didn't matter because she wasn't leaving anyway. Day 24 arrived, and Ashley came downstairs at dinner time with a huge smile on her face. She announced that she had big news that would solve everything. Robert and I were sitting at the kitchen table eating the pasta I'd made. Ashley sat down across from us and said we needed to cancel the eviction because she was engaged. I stopped with my fork halfway to my mouth and just stared at her. Robert asked her what she was talking about. Ashley pulled out her phone and showed us a picture of a ring. On her finger, a simple silver band with a small stone. She said her fiancé would be moving in to help her pay rent, so we didn't need to worry about money anymore. I asked her who exactly she was engaged to since I'd never heard her mention dating anyone. She said his name was Harlow, and they'd been secretly dating for months because she knew we wouldn't approve. Robert asked why we wouldn't approve, and Ashley said because Harlow was younger than her and didn't have a traditional career path. She said he was an artist and a free spirit. I asked when we could meet this person, and Ashley said he was coming over in an hour. She went back upstairs to get ready, while Robert and I sat there trying to process what had just happened. An hour later, the doorbell rang and Ashley rushed down to answer it. She came back into the living room holding hands with a thin young man who looked about 22 or 23. He had messy brown hair and was wearing jeans and a button-up shirt that looked too big for him. Ashley introduced him as Harlow, and he gave us this nervous smile and wave. We all sat down in the living room, and I asked Harlow to tell us about himself. He said he was an artist who did digital design work and that had met Ashley at a coffee shop 6 months ago. Ashley jumped in and added details about their relationship, talking about dates they'd supposedly been on and inside jokes they supposedly shared. But something felt wrong about the whole thing. Harlow kept glancing at Ashley like he was checking to see if he was saying the right things. Robert asked Harlow what Ashley's favorite food was, and Harlow said pizza. Ashley's face tightened, and she quickly said that pizza was her favorite food. I asked Harlow what he loved most about Ashley, and he fumbled for words before saying she was really unique and special. It was the kind of generic answer someone would give about a stranger. Robert suggested we all have dinner together so we could get to know Harlow better. Ashley looked nervous but agreed. We ordered Chinese food and sat around the dining room table. I asked Harlow about his family, and he said he had a sister who lived across town. Robert asked where Harlow grew up, and he named a neighborhood on the other side of the city. I asked how Head proposed to her, and he said she was a good girl. I asked Ashley, and he started to answer, but Ashley cut him off and told the story herself. She said Head proposed at the same coffee shop where they'd met, which seemed odd for someone who was supposedly a romantic artist. Throughout dinner, Harlow kept getting basic facts wrong. He said Ashley's favorite color was blue when it was actually green. He said she studied business in college when her degree was in marketing. He called her Ash at one point, and she corrected him sharply, saying she hated that nickname. After about an hour, Ashley excused herself to use the bathroom upstairs. As soon as she was out of earshot, Harlow's whole body seemed to relax. He put his head in his hands, and Robert asked him what was really going on. Harlow looked up at us with this exhausted expression and admitted the whole thing was fake. He said Ashley had approached him at a grocery store 3 days ago and offered him $5,000 to pretend to be her fiancé. Head agreed because he was behind on rent and desperate for money. He said Ashley had given him a script to memorize with facts about their fake relationship, but had gotten confused and mixed things up. I asked him if he understood how wrong this was, and he said yes, that he felt terrible about it, but he really needed the money. Robert told him he needed to leave and tell Ashley the deal was off. Harlow said he would, but he wanted the money Shed promised him first. I told him he wasn't getting any money for lying to us. He stood up looking defeated and said he'd tell Ashley he couldn't do it anymore. When Ashley came back downstairs, Harlow was already at the front door. She asked where he was going, and he told her he couldn't pretend anymore. Ashley's face went from confused to angry in about 2 seconds. She tried to block him from leaving, but he pushed past her and walked out. Ashley turned to us and started crying, saying we'd ruined her one chance at happiness. I told her we knew the whole thing was fake and she needed to stop lying. She wiped her tears away and the crying stopped immediately. She said fine. It didn't matter anyway because she still wasn't leaving. Day 27 came and I walked past Ashley's room to see her door wide open and not a single box packed. Her clothes were still hanging in the closet. Her makeup and hair products were still spread across her dresser. Her bed was made and she was lying on top of it in her pajamas, watching something on her laptop. I stood in the doorway and asked if she planned to pack anything before day 30. She didn't even look at me, just said there was no point in packing since she wasn't going anywhere. I told her the eviction was real, and she needed to take it seriously. Ashley finally looked up and said I was bluffing. That ID cave at the last minute because I was too weak to actually throw out my own daughter. She said ID spent my whole life avoiding conflict, and this would be no different. Robert came home from his second job at 9 that night looking completely drained. His face was gray, and he could barely keep his eyes open. I heated up dinner for him, and he ate it without really tasting it. After dinner, he went straight to bed without even changing out of his work clothes. I sat on the edge of the bed watching him sleep and felt this deep sadness settle over me. We were both so tired. I was so tired that I couldn't sleep. I was so tired that not just physically tired, but tired in our souls from years of Ashley's manipulation and demands. I went back downstairs and found Ashley still in her pajamas watching TV. In the living room, she was eating ice cream straight from the container, the expensive kind Shed insisted we buy. I sat down on the other end of the couch and just looked at her. She ignored me completely, her eyes fixed on the screen. I asked her if she ever thought about anyone besides herself. She said everyone thought about themselves first. That's just human nature. I told her that wasn't true, that parents sacrifice for their children all the time. Ashley laughed and said exactly that's what parents are supposed to do. Sacrifice. I went to bed that night feeling completely heartbroken. Not sure if we were doing the right thing, but knowing we couldn't keep living like this. Day 30 arrived and I woke up at 6 in the morning before my alarm went off. I couldn't sleep anymore knowing what we had to do. I got out of bed quietly so I wouldn't wake Robert. But he was already awake, staring at the ceiling. We looked at each other and he nodded. We both got dressed and went downstairs to start packing Ashley's things. Robert called his second job and told them he was sick and couldn't come in. We started in her bedroom, pulling clothes out of her closet and folding them into boxes we bought from the moving store. We packed her shoes, her books, her laptop, charger, everything. We worked in silence, mostly just the sound of tape being pulled across cardboard boxes. Around 8:30, we heard Ashley's door open upstairs. Her footsteps came down the hall and then stopped. She appeared in her doorway and stared at us, surrounded by half-packed boxes. Her face went through about 5 different expressions in the span of 3 seconds. Confusion, then anger, then fear, then back to anger. She asked what we were doing, and I told her we were helping her packs and she hadn't done it herself. Ashley's voice got high and shaky and she said we couldn't do this, that we were actually going through with it. Robert kept folding her clothes without looking at her. She came into the room and tried to grab a box away from him, but he held onto it. Then Ashley did something I'd never seen her do before. She sat down on her bed and started crying, real tears, not the fake ones she usually produced. Her whole body was shaking and she was making these gasping sounds between sobs. She said she was scared and didn't know what to do. She said she didn't know how to live on her own and didn't know how to be an adult. Her voice sounded different, younger somehow, like she was a little kid again. I felt my chest tighten and had to look away because I knew if I kept watching her cry, I might give in. Ashley kept crying and saying she was sorry, that she knew she'd been awful, but she was just so scared of failing. She said every time she thought about getting a job, she felt this panic that she wouldn't be good enough and everyone would see what a mess she was. She said it was easier to just stay home and pretend she didn't need to try. She looked up at me with red eyes and said she knew she'd been manipulating us, but she didn't know how else to cope with how terrified she felt about everything for the first time in weeks. She actually sounded like my daughter instead of a stranger who was running a con. I sat down next to her on the bed and Robert stopped packing. I asked her why she'd never told us she was this scared before. She said because admitting she was scared meant admitting she wasn't special, that she was just like everyone else who had to work and struggle. She said her whole identity had been built on this idea that she was different, that normal rules didn't apply to her. I felt tears starting in my own eyes because this was the most honest she'd been in years. She grabbed my hand and begged me for another chance. Said she'd do better this time, that she'd really try. Robert came and sat on her other side. I looked at him and saw that he was crying too. We sat there like that for a few minutes, the three of us on Ashley's bed surrounded by moving boxes. I wanted so badly to just tell her she could stay and we'd figure it out together. But I also knew that if we backed down now, nothing would ever change. She'd go right back to her old patterns as soon as the immediate threat was gone. I took a deep breath and told Ashley I had a compromise. She could stay if she got a job within 2 weeks and started paying a month in rent. It wasn't much, barely enough to cover utilities, but it was something she'd have to contribute and prove she was serious about changing. Ashley pulled back and wiped her eyes, looking at me like she was considering it. Then her face started to change, the softness disappeared, and her jaw got tight. She stood up and said she shouldn't have to pay rent to live in her own home. I told her this wasn't her home anymore. It was ours. And if she wanted to stay, she needed to contribute. Like any other adult. Ashley's voice got hard, and she said we were trying to manipulate her by making her feel guilty. She said the crying and the apology were real. But that didn't change the fact that we owed her support, just like that. All the genuine emotion from 2 minutes ago was gone. She was back to her scripts about parental obligation and how she didn't ask to be born. Robert stood up and said we're done negotiating. He told her she had until 8 tonight to be out or we'd call the police to remove her. Ashley's face went pale. But she didn't argue anymore. She just turned and walked out of the room. I heard her making phone calls from her bedroom. Her voice going from angry to pleading to manipulative, depending on who she was talking to. Robert and I finished packing her things in silence, both of us feeling like we just lost something we could not do without her. We could never get back by 8. That evening, Ashley had loaded most of her boxes into her friend Gail's car. Gail had shown up at 7 with her brother to help move everything. Gail gave us this look that was half sympathetic and half judgmental. Like she thought we were being too harsh, but also understood why we were doing it. Ashley didn't say goodbye to us. She just walked out the front door with the last box and got into Gail's car without looking back. We stood in the doorway watching them drive away. The house felt incredibly quiet after they left. Robert went to sit on the couch, and I joined him. We sat there not talking for a long time. My phone buzzed an hour later with a text from Ashley. It said she'd never forgive us for this betrayal, that we'd chosen our pride over our daughter, and that she hoped we were happy now. I showed the text to Robert and he just shook his head. We ordered pizza for dinner because neither of us had the energy to cook. We ate it in front of the TV watching a show. Neither of us were really paying attention to that night. I lay in bed unable to sleep, wondering if we'd made a terrible mistake or the right choice. Robert was awake, too. I could tell by his breathing. We didn't talk about it. What was there to say? Our daughter was gone, and we didn't know if she'd ever really come back. 3 months went by, and everything changed. The first thing I noticed was how quiet the house was. In the mornings, no Ashley stomping around demanding breakfast or complaining about something. Just Robert and me having coffee together before work. The second thing I noticed was how much better Robert looked. The gray color left his face and he started smiling again. He quit his second job after the first month because we didn't need the extra money anymore. We were actually saving money for the first time in 6 years. Our checking account balance grew instead of shrinking. We started talking about maybe taking a vacation next summer, something we hadn't been able to afford in years. But the guilt was always there, sitting in the back of my mind. I'd see something that reminded me of Ashley and feel this wave of sadness. I'd wonder if she was eating enough or if she was safe. Robert felt it too. Sometimes I'd catch him staring at Ashley's empty room with this lost expression. We didn't talk about her much because it hurt too much. My colleagues at the school noticed the change in me. I had more energy and seemed less stressed. One of them asked if something good had happened, and I didn't know how to explain that my life had gotten better because I'd kicked out my daughter. The relief of not walking on eggshells in my own home was enormous. I could leave my credit card on the counter without worrying it would be maxed out. I could buy regular groceries instead of expensive, organic everything. I could come home from work and just relax, and instead of bracing myself for whatever drama Ashley had created that day. But the relief came with this heavy guilt that made me question everything. Had we been too harsh? Should we have tried harder to help her? Would she end up homeless or worse because we'd given up on her? Those questions kept me up at night, even as our daily life got so much easier. I got Ashley's first text message 2 weeks after she moved out. It came at 11 at night and just said, "Hope you're happy now." Then another one an hour later saying we'd ruined her life and she'd never forget what we did to her. The messages came every few days after that, always late at night, always blaming us for whatever was going wrong. She said she couldn't afford food because WED forced her out. She said she was exhausted all the time because WED made her get a job. She said her feet hurt and her manager was mean and everything was our fault. I didn't respond to any of them. Robert said we should block her number, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. Then Gail called me one afternoon while I was grading papers at the school. She said Ashley had gotten a job at a clothing store in the mall, working 30 hours a week folding shirts and helping customers. Gail's family had given Ashley the same choice we did after 2 weeks of her refusing to job search. Either get work and start contributing or find somewhere else to live. Ashley had applied to 6 places in one day after that and took the first offer she got. Gail said Ashley complained constantly about having to stand all day and deal with rude customers. But she showed up for every shift because she needed the paycheck. She was surviving, not happily, but surviving. 6 months passed before Ashley agreed to meet us. She picked a coffee shop halfway between her apartment and our house, texting the address with no other message. Robert and I got there early and sat at a corner table, both of us nervous. Ashley walked in 10 minutes late, looking thinner than I'd ever seen her, wearing her work uniform with a name tag pinned to her shirt. Her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, and she had dark circles under her eyes. She didn't hug us or smile, just sat down across from us and ordered black coffee. Robert tried to ask how she was doing, but she cut him off. She said we were terrible parents, had thrown her out instead of supporting her like real families do. She said working retail was degrading and exhausting, and she resented every single minute of it. She said she'd never forgive us for forcing her into this life. But then she pulled out her phone and showed us pictures of her apartment, a tiny studio she shared with a roommate. She talked about her coworkers and her manager and the regular customers she recognized. She complained about her schedule and her sore feet and how little money she made. But underneath all the anger, I could hear something different. She was talking about her life, her actual life that she was living and paying for herself. Robert reached across the table and took my hand. Ashley saw it and rolled her eyes, but she didn't leave. We sat there for an hour while she told us everything she hated about being independent. And I knew our relationship would never be what it was before. Maybe it would never be good at all. But she was surviving on her own, paying her own bills, showing up to work, even though she hated it. It wasn't the ending I'd hoped for when she was born. It wasn't happy or neat or fixed, but it was honest, and maybe that was enough.